Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Kentucky Power podcast called People Behind the Power, hosted by Jeff Vanderbeck, me, the publisher of the Appalachian Newspapers, and several newspapers throughout the eastern Kentucky and southeastern, southwestern, central West Virginia, Mingo County, the Mingo Messenger as well. Today I'm joined by a very special a gentleman by the name of Tanner Wolffram. He's the Director of Regulatory Services for Kentucky Power. I know I botched your name, Tanner, so I apologize. I'll let you kind of do
You're
that.
good.
We got a lot of things to talk about today and just kind of get through some stuff that we're doing that. So, the whole premise about the people behind the power is that, Kentucky Power is this big, giant conglomerate. All we know is that you turn the switch on, you turn the computer on, and it's on there, and you guys are the good guys, and when the lights go out, you guys are the dogs. So there are people out there that help us make sure that when you flick that switch, it goes on. So we want to talk about that a little bit. So, but we have a lot of other things. So give us a quick introduction, who you are, what you do, and why you work with Kentucky Power.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, my name's Tanner Wolffram, Director of Regulatory Services for Kentucky Power. I actually just moved down to the tri-state area last September. I took my current position in July. So myself and the new leadership team are kind of getting our feet under us as we're running here. I joined Kentucky Power from the AEP parent company. So I started as an attorney. Don't hold that against me. And then I moved into our central regulatory function, and I was responsible mostly for Kentucky Power filings in front of the Public Service Commission of Kentucky. And then I got an opportunity to move down here and absolutely jumped at it. I feel very passionate about the regulatory work that we're doing at Kentucky Power to help keep the lights on, like you said. And so when company president Wiseman asked me if I wanted to move down, I jumped at the opportunity, and I've been running since I got down here. So like I said, we got a lot of things to talk about today, and I'm really looking forward to the conversation, and thanks for having us.
No problem. Thanks for showing up, and thanks for, there's a lot of things that the community and the people just don't know what happens behind the scene.
Sure.
I was unaware that you are technically a lawyer, so that's a good thing. With going in front of the Public Service Commission, you are regulated, and everything you guys do, you have shareholders you have to answer to, and the Public Service Commission who regulates you, and so on. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But based upon what I've seen in the last couple of months, you've been a very busy young man. So
yes,
so that's good. So a couple of things we want to talk about is, when people talk about the people behind the power, and we talk about AEP and Kentucky Power and the people behind there, what people need to understand is that our neighbors, our friends, our family members, the people we go to church with, the people we shop with, go to restaurants with, there are employees of Kentucky Power. And just like emergency physicians, when the lights go out, those buzzers go off, they're on call. So what people need to know is that when the lights go out, you guys have got a network of people, things, processes that alert crews to say, hey, there's a transformer out, or there's an accident out on US 23 and the transformers are down. Crews are dispatched right away. Those crews are being taken away from their families. They're being taken away from their churches or whatever they're doing at that particular time to go out and fix that. And when disasters hit, I know you guys deploy a lot of people out there. So people need to understand that not only are you working in this region, you're doing that elsewhere. People also need to understand is that when AEP or Kentucky Power pays those people who work in Floyd, Johnson, Martin, those counties, that money goes back to occupational taxes to those people. And I think that's important. And what is most important to me that I see, if you look at every truck that's out there, every crew member, is every crew member, first and foremost, does one thing. They are totally enamored with making sure that safety is first.
Absolutely.
And for not only the employees, but for the company and the customers. So kind of talk a little bit about, the amount of money that brings back to the communities through occupational taxes, if you have that. I know you don't have those numbers, but just talk briefly about that. And then the safety factor.
Yeah, I think overarching, right, we view ourselves as a member of the community. Everybody that I work with and everybody at Kentucky Power, we are Kentucky Power. I know sometimes when you're part of the AEP system, you can be seen as general AEP, but everybody that works here, we work here, we live here, our kids go to school in a Kentucky Power service area. So we are fully vested in our community. Everything that we do is with our community in mind, our customers in mind, our service territory in mind. And obviously, one of those things, especially obviously, we're experiencing a little bit of a weather event down here right now.
I'm
So
sure some folks are being dispatched already, aren't they?
absolutely, I'm sure if there's any outages related to the weather event, we've got crews that are going out to whatever the location is. Our number one priority when we have these kind of events is safety first. We always want employees to return to their homes, to their families, to their communities in the same or better position as when they arrived at work that day. And to your point, you see the linemen out, when we have outage events like that. But I can tell you, like members of my team, myself, when we have these major storm outages, I'm on calls all weekend. Our communications team, we're meeting with them. We're informing the Public Service Commission of everything that's going on. We have all kinds of obligations to make sure that we are keeping everybody informed and getting that service restored as quickly as possible, but in the safest manner possible. So, we even, to the extent that we have to, we're going to call in contract crews from other utilities when we have large outages to make sure that we're doing the work in the quickest and safest manner that we can, because we know that electricity is a lifeline for everybody,
Sure.
right? So we want to make sure that your power's on. When we have those outages, we're responding as quickly as we can. And obviously, just from a cost component, right? Customers obviously that's obviously number one on customers' mind, right? Like the cost for the service that we provide. And so what we want to do is make sure that we are safe, because safety ensures we're keeping costs low, because we don't have people missing time. We have the employees on site to do the work, and everybody's safe and taken care of. And as long as we're doing that in a safe manner, we can get those service restoration as quickly as possible. That's our number one goal.
That's fantastic. Quick story. I have to tell this story. A year ago, I came home from work. It was probably a Thursday or Friday. I don't remember what day it was, but my power was out because some idiot hit a power pole and knocked everything out. And so my wife called me and she said, listen, power's out. And it was hot. It was probably like July or August, and it was hot outside. I'm like, all right, well, I'll come home and we'll do something. I don't know what we're going to do, but we'll figure it out. Well, all of my neighbors, their power was out as well. So I decided, genius me, to make margaritas. So I bought a bag of ice and all the accoutrements to go with margaritas, but my blender didn't work. So I hand mixed everything. The crews were going up and down my road there, and I saw them. There was probably 5 or 6 trucks, probably 15 guys out there working. So I got home about 5:30. They worked till I think 11 o'clock that night. And about 8 o'clock, I went out there with my margarita in my hand. I'm like, how much longer are you guys going to be? And they laughed, and I said, well, I don't know. It's going to be a couple hours. So I called my buddy at Jimmy John's, and I had sandwiches delivered for the whole damn crew.
That's awesome.
And they came up there, and the wife of one of the line, you say linemen, I say line people, because I don't know if they're men or women anymore,
Yep.
because that's, God bless them.
Absolutely.
But one of the spouses of the line people called me the next day and said, are you the guy who sent sandwiches out to my husband last night? And I'm like, oh geez, now where's this going? She goes, I just want to thank you. That was the nicest thing you could have done. And I think if people would have a little bit more patience and understanding, and just know that these poor people are taken away from their family to come help idiots like me. And I was at home and I was minding my own damn business. I had margarita on me. I wanted them to have it, but they couldn't drive, but they all said no. And so anyway, that's my quick story about restoration.
No, that's great.
So another topic that's been in the news lately is the securitization thing. So I want to talk about that. I want you to explain exactly what it is and how that's affecting the ratepayers, not only now, but 30 years down the road or 20 years down the road.
Sure, absolutely. I think the easiest way to think about it, at least, somebody that doesn't live in a corporate finance world, because that's where all this magic happens, right? I think functionally, the way I think about it is refinancing a home mortgage when rates are low, right? So when we set our rates are a combination of the debt that is required and the interest on that debt that we are required to take to fund whatever the project may be, and then a return that the commission sets based on our regulatory rate structure, right? So that naturally tends to be a little bit higher than, let's say, just a flat debt rate. So functionally what we did, so we had approximately $85 million in storm damage that weren't currently built into utility rates. So basically what that means is we kind of hold that amount out for collection later. And so what we did was we packaged the storm damage that we had. That included the 2022 historic flood event that we incurred. And then we coupled that with the Big Sandy plant coal retired assets. So we had, when we converted Big Sandy from gas to coal, there were still net book value that we had to recover on the Big Sandy coal unit that we had retired. And so we coupled those type of items into a single package and presented that to bondholders. And basically what that does is the bondholders will purchase that debt instrument. And so that we're funding that those recovery mechanisms at a lower rate for customers. And I think what you've seen in the press release from the Public Service Commission, we're going to save customers roughly $90 million as compared to what we would have otherwise had to do if we had to recover those amounts through traditional rate recovery mechanisms. And so securitization for us, we understand, my group every day, one thing that I challenge my entire group on is what can we do to impact customer rates? What can we do to bring customer rates down? We understand that that we've got a lot of cost pressures in society generally now, and one of those things is your utility bill. And so what securitization allows us to do is actually reduce the impact of some of those investments to customers. And so what we would like to do eventually is continue down that path. Obviously, I think we'll talk a little bit about our filing related to the Mitchell plant.
Right.
But one of the things that we have been advocating for in the legislative session is to pass new securitization legislation to allow us to securitize the net book value of Mitchell, which would provide a similar benefit to customers. Functionally, we could lower the cost of Mitchell to serve customers into the future. And so that's something that we're obviously very interested in exploring further. I think actually our AEP CEO Bill Furman came down and testified, along with company President Wiseman, testified in front of the Senate subcommittee to ask for new securitization legislation. So we're going to continue to advocate for that so that we can make a meaningful impact on our customers' bills.
So obviously the easy thing to do, particularly with the storm damage, is to say, listen, it cost Kentucky Power a net or a gross revenue expense of $40 million. We're just going to add that to everybody's bill. And, everybody's bill is going to go up $1,500 next month, take it or leave it. And,
Exactly.
or $2,000 or $2,000 a month for the next 6 months until we recoup our costs. And that's not, you could do that, but that's it's not fair. It's not the right thing to do. And you'd put a lot of people out. So by having the Public Service Commission allow you to do the securitization program that will kind of help offset these costs in the long run, not only saves people upfront money, but it's going to save people money in the long run over a 20-year period. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's correct. I think the other thing to remember, especially with some of these like longer or shorter lead time recovery mechanisms. So like typically for storm cost, right, when we incur storms in between rate cases, we'll defer those amounts. And then during that rate case, we'll pick some period to recover that money across. So if we had $40 million, we would typically ask to recover that over like a 3 to 5 year period.
Right.
And so you're impacting that on rates. Functionally, what this did was took that $85 million of storms and passed it. And now we're going to recover it over 20 years at a lower interest rate.
Sure.
So you're spreading the cost further
Right.
to reduce the impacts while also avoiding any of that return component that would increase the cost of customers.
And still maintaining the quality service. All right. You mentioned the Mitchell power plant up in Moundsville, West Virginia.
Absolutely.
I believe there's good news here. I know that the coal industry has been beating the crap out of lately. Is that a coal-fired power plant that you guys are going to open back up? What are the regulatory issues? How is that going to help? What's that going to do? Or are we going to put miners back? Holy crap! I got so many questions. What's going on?
Yeah, so Mitchell is currently operating as it exists now. So the way that the Mitchell plant works is we are a 50% owner with our affiliate company, Wheeling Power Company, which is associated with Appalachian Power Company. So each of us own 50% of the energy and capacity from Mitchell. So that means we functionally have 780 megawatts that we get of power generation from Mitchell to serve our customers. Based on an order from 2021, or I think the order came out in 2022, was 2021 case, our interest is set to terminate from the energy and capacity perspective at the end of 2028. And so functionally what that would mean is if Mitchell were no longer to be part of our generation portfolio, we would have to go out and secure additional resources to serve our customers. So that's frankly, you would take 708. There's some complexity on how PJM calculates the actual accredited capacity, but functionally speaking, it would be 606 megawatts that we would have to replace that Mitchell's currently providing to our customers. So that would mean we'd either have to go out and contract for 600 plus megawatts of new generation. We self-build, and all those are in addition to customers continuing to have to pay to recover that Mitchell plant.
Sure.
So when we did our analysis, we looked at all the alternatives that we had. And functionally speaking, what we decided on is, look, if we invest the amount that we need to continue our 50% interest in Mitchell, that will offset the additional cost that we would otherwise have to incur. Based on our analysis, if we had to go either the PPA route to cover that, it would cost us about $136 million more than what it would cost us to keep Mitchell running for Kentucky Power customers. And if we had to go to market, it would cost us about $560 million more. And that's because the market right now is so constrained, because we've seen a lot of coal plant retirements recently. And as we've increased electricity demand across the country, right, you've got all these data centers that are coming online, and you've got all the electrification of America, right? More people are using more electricity. And as you close some of these legacy coal plants, the availability of generation shrinks. And so now you have a supply and demand issue where energy prices and capacity prices go up because there's not enough resources to cover the needs across the system. So instead of divesting of our energy and capacity from Mitchell, we did the analysis, and it shook out that Mitchell is the least cost thing for us to do to continue to have that 606 megawatts available to serve customers now into the future. And we need it, obviously. It took me forever to learn this when I first started in utilities. Like I said, I'm a lawyer by trade, so had no background in utilities. But we go from generation. You have to have something that creates the electricity. Then it goes to transmission that gets it to the distribution system, and then the distribution system is what comes into your house, so that when that light turns on, or when you flip the switch, the light turns on,
Sure.
right? So we have to have the generation available to serve our customers now into the future, and extending Mitchell and keeping that resource as part of our portfolio is priority number one for us right now.
So Mitchell, by keeping Mitchell extended the way that you've got it and the securitization, pretty much guarantees ratepayers are not going to see excessive increases, and that these are other things that Kentucky Power is doing to not only continue to keep reliable energy here and affordable to us, because we do have affordable rates. I mean, we complain when it goes up 3 cents a megawatt or whatever the hell you guys charge us for. But, compared to Louisville, Lexington, New Jersey, Washington, D.C., I mean, we do have very cost-effective rates, and it is thanks to the efforts that you guys are doing. So we really appreciate that. And that's so by the securitization and the Mitchell plant extension, we as ratepayers can expect and know that behind the scenes that everybody, including lawyers like yourself, nope, don't take offense,
Nope.
are doing everything they can to make sure that we are keeping the rates down. And what else can keep rates down is natural disasters. Well, you can't control the natural disasters, but what we can control is people's driving habits. So when we see it's raining, slow down so you don't hit a power pole.
Yep.
Don't drive drunk. Okay, don't hit a power pole.
Great.
Don't take pills and drive high on pills. Don't hit a power pole. Don't do anything goofy like that, and that would help all this other stuff that we've got going on. So those are the kind of things we've got. You mentioned, I just got some clarification. You mentioned before that closing the Big Sandy Power Plant went from gas to coal. The Big Sandy Power Plant went from coal to gas.
Yes.
And that wasn't your all's thing. That was a regulatory thing that was done by the previous administration. I just want to make that clarification.
Yeah. So when we looked at it, it was going to cost us roughly $1 billion to make the
Right.
upgrades to Big Sandy to allow it to continue to operate as a coal-fired generating facility. And so, we had that option to buy Mitchell at that point. So based on that calculus, we saved customers, give or take $500 million by not installing the scrubber
Right.
at Big Sandy and then replacing it with Mitchell. So that was part of the thing. And to your point, I just want to touch on the rate mitigation as well. So the application that we currently have in front of the commission, the application would result in roughly a $3.68 monthly bill increase for our average residential customers. Again, I think, like we talked about, to the extent that we are able to move forward with additional securitization for the Mitchell plant specifically, including the upgrades that we need to make to represent our full 50% interest, we could actually lower rates even further by having the legislature pass additional securitization legislation that would allow us to securitize the net book value of Mitchell. So that's, again, we are always looking for ways that we can help customers. We understand, we try to meet our customers where they are. We understand that, paying utility bills is not, it can be a difficult exercise or an unfun
Sure,
exercise,
right.
but we are committed to our customers and making our rates, the lowest reasonable cost that we can make it. Again, we're a cost-based business, so everything that we recover is highly regulated, and it's only the cost that we actually incur to perform services that our customers expect.
Sure. Well, Tanner, I'll tell you, ratepayers are counting on you to do your job. Uh, I know you work hard behind the scenes. I deal with a lot of your PR people, and it's exhausting because I know that every time something happens, you guys are the bad people. But every time we turn that light switch on, nobody gives you thanks. So I want to thank you for doing what you're doing. I want to thank you for doing that and being honest and transparent about the things that are happening behind the scenes that nobody really knows about. So I appreciate that. I expect to see more of you in our upcoming podcast that we're doing with Kentucky Power. People behind the power. One of the people behind the power is Tanner Wolffram. He's been doing a great job. And we met a while ago. We've been talking through email, and I'll tell you, if he knows that if he screws up, I'm going to hold his feet to the fire. But he's been doing a great job, and I really appreciate you being here today. And I look forward to our next podcast in a couple weeks, and we'll have some other issues to talk about. Thank you once again for coming by. Appreciate all you're doing. Continue to work hard. Thank you so much for the transparency, because that's vitally important for people to understand. We may not like it, but at least you're not lying to us. We don't like the fact that we got to pay higher rates, but it could be worse, and we don't want the worst. We want bad news, and we know that, oh crap, if we got to deal with it, if it's $3.60 and all my lights are going to work, I'm okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today. Appreciate it. Tanner, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Tell the
thank
folks
you.
at Kentucky Power, we appreciate the line people. We love them. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we do
Have a
too.
great day. Thank you for joining us.